Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we have Nancy Arney here, who will be offering us our prayer. So go ahead, Nancy.
Almighty God in heaven, we ask your presence here in this chamber as these elected members of Eagle Grove gather to do the business of this city. Lord, bless and be with them as they work together as a unit to do what is best for our town. Be with them as they debate the issues and come together to make wise decisions for the community. Hear the prayers of the community and be with our city council as they serve the town of Eagle Grove. Amen.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too, thank you. Okay, I'll call this regularly scheduled meeting to order on Monday, November 6th at 6:30. We'll start out with roll call. Matt is not here. Kelly.
Here.
Wally.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Al.
Here.
And Denny.
Here.
Okay. Next would be the public forum. Is there anybody here wishing to speak to the public forum? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. If you remember the consent agenda, you'll act on one motion. There'll be no separate discussion unless you wish to remove it from the consent agenda. You have your minutes from October 23rd meeting. The claims, looks like I think Wally and Mike went through those claims. Building permit for a fence at 513 North Lincoln and sidewalk at 613 Southeast First. There are no beer or liquor license and no cigarette permits.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Wally and Mike. Kelly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item would be a public hearing on submission of a CDBG application for a neighborhood revitalization in Ward 1. I will open that public hearing at 6:36 p.m. So you have in your packet, resolution 2023-80. That would be the next item. However, this is a submission of a neighborhood revitalization for Ward 1. It consists of several improvements that can be made. Originally, it focuses on 4. Our initial match would be $3,750. That's to have someone do the study. After that, on phase 2, this max award is $25,000 with a 15% match, and that's actually for the going through the construction, which potentially this grant could be $1.7 million with a 15% local match. It's a 3 to 4 year project. The focus areas are owner, tenant, occupied single family housing and rehab. That could be done, could be commercial building facades, could be parks and open spaces, sidewalks and trails, stormwater and drainage improvements, community facilities, curb and gutter, street repairs, demolition and clearance, and streetscape improvements. So Bryce, can you?
Yeah. This is a new type of CDBG program that the state has come out with. The focus is on consolidating grant specific items that the city has moved forward with in the past, such as the Housing Sustainability Program, where it was a $29,000 grant to an owner occupied low to moderate income household. And they've also taken the community facilities programs and the water and sewer infrastructure programs and other infrastructure programs that they have at the state, and they consolidate it to create more of a neighborhood revitalization master plan. And this is the first phase. So what the first phase does is it provides a 15% local match up to $25,000 for the planning portion of the project. So if awarded, we will see funding to hire a consultant and an engineering firm to come together with a committee that we've put together that entails different organizations, the city council, the committees, the utility board members, Parks and Rec members, as well as individuals that live in the targeted area for a local perspective. And we create this plan that has to have 4 different means of improvement, which is what Mayor McGrath mentioned, such as housing rehabilitation, open space, infrastructure improvements, etc. And once you come together with that plan, then there's another application date next fall, and you can apply for the master grant, which is 1.75 million. And then you can move forward with a construction. If you get awarded, that's going to take 3 to 4 years to complete. So when we look at the local match of being 15%, anywhere from $250,000, we have 3 to 4 years after award to expend those dollars, which that'll be a combination of utilities, low cost of sales tax, cash on hand, or tax equipment financing dollars, depending how the program is put together and what it's being funded. Then we'll put the financing pieces together. So once the committee comes together and tells the council, this is what we believe a master plan should look like, then we can really structure the financing behind that plan that makes the most sense to alleviate property tax burdens. So this is just the first phase to a very long project.
So this 3750, it just creates the master plan.
Correct.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
the total amount it would cost. You're fine.
Correct.
For that plan.
For the
yeah.
plan, yes. Yep. It's basically, it's a comprehensive plan for Ward 1. And we do, it's a targeted area of Ward 1 because you have to have low to moderate income. You have to have a targeted demographic base. And so you want, it's Ward 1, primarily Ward 1, but it's going to be shrunk a little bit just to ensure that we are not only meet and exceed the threshold of low to moderate income, but we put together a higher number so that we have a more competitive application.
Who creates the plan?
The committee does. So the committee that we put together, which is going to be council representation, utility board representation, Parks and Rec,
Community.
the whole community will come together. There'll be about
There's
13.
grant writers that will
Right.
focus that down.
Go to the grant writer.
It goes to the engineer. Yep. That come in and work with the committee
Gotcha.
to put a concept, make it pretty, put some cost numbers behind it. And then that's what we'll use for the major application.
Okay.
Yep.
Basically, this is step 1 in hoping to get $1.7 million.
Correct.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2023.
We're not there yet.
We'll go to the next one. We're in public hearing.
Oh,
I did refer to the next one,
Yeah.
so,
you did refer.
I did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's-
yeah, that's okay. Is there anybody else from the public who has any comments or questions? I kind of envision when they have this group together, it's kind of similar to when we did the comprehensive plan. They'll do it like a SWOT analysis, where do you see as a threat? What do you see as a asset? What do you see,
Right.
as a strength? If there's no other comments, I will close the public hearing at 6:43 p.m. And we'll move on to resolution 2023-80, which would be committing matching funds. And Denny,
Now,
okay,
I'll second.
Danny and Mike, we have a motion and a second to commit matching funds for the neighborhood revitalization project. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Denny, how do you vote?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries. We then have resolution 2023 endorsing and authorizing the submission of the neighborhood revitalization application. That's also in your packet.
So this is just part of the original.
Correct. The first one is committing the local match, which is $3,750. This one is authorizing city administration to press the submit button
To the application.
for the application to the state.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-81.
Second.
Mike and Wally, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Kelly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Al? Denny? Motion carries. Next item would be to hold a public hearing on submission of a CDBG application. That would be an upper story conversion to 17 West Broadway. I will open the public hearing at 6:44 PM. And in your packet, I'm sorry, I'm gonna refer to 2023-82 because it does kind of spell out some of the information. However, this is a public hearing, so.
So this is another upper story housing conversion project through the Community Development Block Grant. The city in this particular instance, in this particular grant, is a pass-through. So we provide the approval process for this project, which is the development of 6 upper story housing units at the location of 217 West Broadway. We are going to be applying for a total amount of $550,000. The rest will come from the local developer. The city is a pass-through, so once the claim is approved by the developer and the architect, then it comes to the city. We request it to the state. We get the money in our account. We write the developer a check for what the claims process was through. So we're just a pass-through account for this project, and we also provide all of the state notifications to ensure that compliance with local building codes are met and things of that nature. And so we've done about 3 of these, I believe.
I was gonna say, this is the same thing we've done for multiple.
What storefront are these over?
Will coast to coast.
The old Coast Creek.
So 4 2-bedroom apartments, 2 1-bedroom units.
With this plan, is there parking for these units as part of that? Is there a place for people to park that would live in these?
Yes, there is. There's parking planned in it already.
Yeah.
So Mr. Torkelson's the developer.
For all of the apartments.
Yeah, there's parking for all of the apartments there. So there's a few spots in the back. And then we own some adjacent properties that they can park in, so.
Okay.
And you have to probably submit that with your plan anyway.
Correct, yeah.
So that's part of
We have,
your application process.
we have what the city requires as far as 2 spots per apartment. We'll actually have 12 spots available for tenants up there, so.
Anybody from the public have any questions regarding this? If not, I will close the public hearing at 6:47 and we will move on to resolution 2023-82. And that would be a resolution to endorse and authorize the submission of the CDBG application on the upper story conversion of 217 West Broadway.
Also move.
Second.
Al and Mike. Is there any further questions? Hearing none. Denny, how do you vote?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next would be first reading ordinance 2023-01, and that would be amending the code of ordinance pertaining to the solid waste control. Now, there's two ordinances here. If you notice, one is solid waste control, the other is the collection of. So,
As we have been working through this modification, we have went through legal services to make some modification, and Brett is on the phone, so if there's any specific questions to him, we can direct him that way. But otherwise, as we've discussed, we want to ensure that any residential dwelling of 4 or less units is required to have residential dumpster service. Anything 4 and above can have a dumpster. And that's by themselves. That's a contract between them and a solid waste collector. So first and foremost, we need to define who is required for this residential service versus who's required to contract themselves and not go through the city's billing process.
so I'm gonna clarify, because anybody under 4, it's not residential dumpster, it's residential garbage.
Yes, so it's a, yeah,
not-
it's a container.
It's a
Yes,
container, not a dumpster.
Yep.
I don't know if I heard you wrong, but I thought. I
no,
heard
that's
you say-
perfect clarification. So 4 units or less.
It's a
So
container.
that's the question to ask. The next thing we want to look at is making modification, because right now we are required to allow for 2 30-gallon bags. Obviously, if we go to a container or some sort of residential storage, it doesn't matter exactly what size of bag that they have, as long as they're in a bag that can fit in the container. Is a primary goal. Bags cannot weigh more than 50 pounds. Those bags have to be solid. They cannot be leaking. They cannot tear, things of that nature. But they have to be able to fit in the container. So that's kind of a modification, as we took out the 2 30-gallon bags as a requirement that we can set out on the curb. Whatever fits in the container can fit. So if you want to use a contractor bag, use that, as long as.
Okay, I turned that off earlier.
That was embarrassing.
Only for you.
Yep, so the next step is a non-conforming container. If we do go to containers that are based on the collector, so the collector's container, you can't have something that's a lookalike. It can't be non-conforming. It has to be what we allow it to be, whether it's one company or 2 companies. It has to be one company that the container-
Provided by your garbage.
Correct. The next thing is we want to look at residential dumpsters. So these are the roll-off containers. These are the large ones that are not containers or carts. So we want to make sure that if they are doing a construction project, they cannot, those contents have to be emptied within 14 days. If they're causing a nuisance, then we'll correct them at that time, even if it's within a 14-day period. If it is an odor issue, if it does rain, if it does cause an issue, then we can allow them to a little bit more. We can go through our nuisance process for that. But if they're removing rubbish, they can't keep it there for more than 30 days without the approval of the city. So if it's a longer construction project and they have a building permit, then that helps out on the ability to have it more than 13 days. But if it's on the streets or a public alleyway or the tree berm, then the public works director and the chief of police have to provide their approval as well. So those are some things that we looked at modification of the code on.
When you say a dumpster, are these some of those that we see around town that have wheels on them? Not the great big
Could
one
be
that the
either.
truck has to put in your driveway?
Yeah, this is more for the truck that puts it in your driveway for removing rubbish.
So where does
construction
the ones with the wheels fall now?
The ones with the wheels, we can require them to be out of sight, out of mind. We can require them to be hidden behind a fence or some sort of container. Like they are commercial, they have to be hidden. They cannot be on primary view of a street.
So then we're saying that the residential people could have those? No.
No, because
No.
it's specifically a residential premises means a single family dwelling and a multifamily of
Right.
less than 4.
There are some around town. That's why I'm asking the questions.
Yes, so once this gets enacted, we'll go through our process, and anybody who has a dumpster, ones that aren't on wheels and a big one, that's not during a
Roll on.
that's not doing a construction or renovation project, we'll have to contact that company and provide the rules and regulations for that. This is more towards if they are doing a construction or renovation project, then they cannot be there for 30 days or more without the approval of different department heads.
Right.
But if they are a 5-plex, then we can also make sure that those dumpsters are not on a primary road, if at all possible. That's I guess the next step in this process.
Question. Not hearing any discussion of home-based business. What about home-based business? That's what those people in town that have those dumpsters that have it at, it's most likely have that dumpster for. So is that taken into consideration?
Well, they should have a license for home-based business, so they should have a permit. And I guess it depends on what the business is.
Right, but does the code provide for what a home-based business that will hopefully need a dumpster?
Not this one, no. This is just talking about a residential.
It doesn't deal with this.
Right. There can always be exceptions or things of that nature, but by and large, this is more for the residential houses that do not have any type of substantial use.
Yeah.
So if there is a exception process, that can be an addition, or a case by case basis.
I mean, it's either something you have a proviso for, or it's a gray area. It's up to you guys. You want to know how to write it down.
I don't know how many home-based residents we have, or businesses we have.
You know,
And one of the reasons why you don't want dumpsters at every house is I don't care what anybody says, they're really hard to keep clean and not have flies and, you know, they collect water. I don't know if you ever seen them dumped, then nice flood of water comes rolling out when they're picked up and dumped.
The few I've seen in the Lord, the lids were open.
Right.
Animals and everything else can get in, so.
And like I said, the weather gets in it and they just get nasty. And I don't know if you've ever seen them picked up. Usually there's a flood of water that comes out.
So
But this is also just the first reading of this, so there's amendments can be made between now and when we make it official. Right. If need to be.
So questions would be 4 units or less. Or would we like 3 units or less, or 2 units or less, or 1 unit? Or 5 units or less, or whatever that number is. Where do we want car?
Currently it says, currently it says 4 units or.
Then you probably have to get a license and.
Have to be as. Reading, so look at reading. And it also. This also went through committee a couple months ago. A deep dive into it.
I'll make a motion to approve first reading of ordinance 2023-01.
Like, oh, is there any further questions? Oh. On the agenda. Any other questions?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Danny?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now first reading ordinance 2023-02. That would be amending the code of ordinance pertaining to the collection of solid waste. So this is not containers, this is the collection of. Chapter 105 is what we have in our code. So y'all had a chance to see that went out in your, and you have the version that showed changes to our current 105.
This basically states that if you are a residential service, the city shall contract for that collection of solid waste. If it is a industry or a commercial business, from a zoning perspective, so excluding home-based businesses where they're in a residentially zoned house operating a home-based business, then they can contract separately with a licensed collector that has a certificate of insurance and approval by the city, just as the same way as they can now. No other person, unless they're doing it for themselves, can engage in the business of collecting, transporting, processing, or disposing of solid waste without the approval of the city. We will also be charging for those services like we do now. We will also be entering into a non-compliance fee from time to time based on resolutions. So if an individual does not follow the rules, then we can fine them as a non-compliance fee, because we would then have to pay the collector to pick the trash up that's being not complied with. So that's the question as well. So these fees shall be for 2 96-gallon carts. I would recommend taking that out because we don't exactly know what we're bidding out yet. So we don't need to putting in an ordinance. We just need to say that we are going to be charging and collecting those fees for the collector.
So when we talk about fees, that is, we will be collecting the fees and then paying the garbage collector.
So as the shop for collect
If you change this, every time this is changed, its ordinance requires the 3 readings. So you don't want to keep changing ordinances to chase them down.
I'll make a motion to approve first reading of order 2023-02 with those changes.
Accept.
Did you get to that one?
I got out. My right ear must be faster hearing than the left ear. So the motion was to approve resolution 2020. Hang on, I gotta move this down. 2023-02 with the removal of the fee shall be for the 229.
We will review that based on the decision by the council after the RFP process. Right now it's 50 cents, but there may be an adjustment depending on how many waste collectors are identified, and well as if there's any other items that the city administration needs to handle.
There's no other questions. Denny, how do you vote?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, that would be review and discuss take potential action on an RFP for solid waste collection services in the city of Eagle Grove.
I do not believe the RFP was sent with your packet.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so just turn your attention to the big TV. And we will go through this. Basically, this is the RFP for solid waste and recycling collection program. The last time we had this conversation, we wanted to take a peek at both solid waste collection as well as recycling. This is what the RFP is going to look like. So essentially, we're going to talk about Eagle Grove. We have a population of 3,601 people. The history of that, what our dates are, and this is what was asked, and so we want to define these. Basically, this distribution of the RFP, the proposals received, when we're going to be looking at approval, how long it's going to take to educate the public on the modification, and then when we'd like the collectors to start their service. So these are all going to be modified here a little bit. Obviously, we need to change the ordinances, and that's going to take 3 readings, at least one more reading after tonight. So November 20th is the soonest those readings can be finalized. And then the RFP can go out, unless you wanted to start the RFP earlier. But I would give at least 30 days for the collectors to look at the information, contact their suppliers, figure out how long it takes to get the carts in, and then what their fees are going to be based on our service. So that's something that needs to be modified. If you'd like that ramped up sooner than later, just let me know. We're going to receive 2 proposals. We'll finalize the date that those proposals are received, who they're going to contact. The insurance requirements are going to be here. That we're going to require. We're going to indemnify each other. And then right now we have about 1,300 residential units that qualify for this. So that's going to be what they're bidding on. They have to take them to the North Central Iowa Area Landfill Authority. All tipping fees will be responsibility of the vendor. We also want a recycling program along with that. Now, the question is, do you want a 96 gallon for solid waste and also a 96 gallon for recycling?
That's what we need to identify in the RFP.
Yep. So how big of sizes do you want to start off the bidding process? You can always move that. We can always ask for more. We can always ask for a 36 gallon. We can always ask for a 96 gallon quote.
Didn't they have a 70 gallon one?
Yeah. Yep. So we can ask for whatever we want to ask for. We can ask for all their quotes so that we can make a modification based off of that.
I think we should ask for the 70 and the 96.
What was the rate of pickup as far as recycling goes? Was it gonna be every week, or was it gonna be every other week since it's
Just
gonna
like it
be?
is now.
So
I was just wondering if it was gonna be a bigger container.
No.
If
We're
you would-
talking about doing it just like we are now.
I thought
They
we
pick
did.
up
I
garbage
thought we
and
did.
they
I just
pick
wanted to
up
get back
recycling.
to it and see that if that's exactly what it was gonna be.
Cause I know there's times like me on windy days.
No, I understand.
I
the
don't
need.
put my recycle out because I don't want to blow no over the neighborhood.
Oh.
So sometimes mine don't go out for 2 weeks and it does get pretty full.
Right.
Well, these should be lidded.
Yep.
They'll be,
Will people have a choice in the terms of the size, or are you deciding for them what size they're gonna get?
I think once the RFP comes in the
Huh.
garbage collectors probably need a consistent size if they're using trucks. They need the consistent size to know what they're picking up. So
we also,
whether it's too big, and you don't fill it all the way up, that's okay too. Those are carded wheels, so.
You know, I own a home now, they have waste management, they use carts.
Mhm.
They, give the people a choice in terms of the sizes, so that's why that question arises.
the only from an administration standpoint, if changing carts changes prices, we do not want to have to modify our software for every single customer based on their needs and preferences every single month. So if they want to switch down to save some money, that requires us to go in there, make modifications, and then make sure it gets billed out the following month. And then we also have to notify the vendor, or the vendor has to notify us of that modification and change. So if the price is all the same and people want to pick what they want and work directly with the vendor, that's great. But just from our standpoint, That's is what's going to make the administration fee go up, is the more administration that we have to do for the program.
We just need to identify, we want you to tell us 96 gallon. And then, or I guess the 70 if you want to go. I don't think you're gonna get by with a 70 for the solid waste. You could on a recycling, but
So that,
would you want to have a smaller size on recycling? Because you want people to recycle.
If you're only gonna give them the one choice, then, you know,
Then
You
it's not a
take like a
choice.
70-gallon one, that'd take 2 trash bags. In the 96, you get 3 in there, and I see a lot of people running around town that's got 3 to 4 bags of garbage sitting out there every day for garbage pickup.
So what are you saying, Wally, that you wanted 96 for solid waste and 70 for recycling? Is that what you said?
Well, it's just one idea. We're thinking, see what the price is on the 70 as opposed to 96
For solid waste?
for both.
Okay.
Because like I say, the regular garbage, like I say, I see a lot of people that's got 3 and 4 bags of garbage out there.
Yep.
And some of them
that's
buy the orange bags like they're supposed to, some don't.
that's not an issue to put that on an RFP to get both options.
I'd say let's go with both options. Cause they might say, well, the price is gonna be the same, either which way you wanna go.
Let's see, like we talked about, these are going to be for anything 4 units or less. There's also going to be a recycling program. That's so that the recycling, whoever is the recycler, they tell us what they can and cannot accept, and that program is going to be placed into that program so that nothing that cannot be recycled is going to end up in the recycling stream. That may impact how much the city is billed for that service. So we just want to make sure that they can take what we need them to take.
That's not a change from current day, right?
Correct. Yep. Days and hours, we want them to be operating on a 4-day a week, same rotation as they are now in terms of the wards that they cover. We also want them to be to start when it's practical, but also try to complete, before 5:30 of each day, type of thing. But that can be modified and changed as needed. We want to know what holidays they observe and how they're going to make that modification and pick up the following day like they do now. We want to know what they do, what's their information for weather-related days or cancellations, so that we can inform the public and the vendor can inform the public, and we're all on the same page. We want the collection routes to be the same. We want them to create the public education outreach materials that we can also disseminate. This is just basically indemnification. Try not to cause any damage to the property if they have to go and get the carts or, leave the carts on the property, that the let's just say a high wind event is not going to take the cart into a vehicle or something like that, to make sure that there's no property damage from the handling of this process. If there's any concerns, they have to have their number provided. How long this is going to be. This is going to be a 2-year program. We can do 3-year, we can do 5-year, we can do 1 year. It's whatever you guys feel comfortable with, and we'll put that together. And then this is the proposal. So their contact information, experience, information on where this things are going, contact information, recycling program. Do they recycle or do they contract that out? Types of carts that they provide, just so we have more information on what we can quote. Let's see, collection trucks. We want to know what type of trucks they're using for our roads, because there are some that are just gonna, the more trucks that we have on residential roads, the more impact that they have on those roads. So we want to make sure that we're taking that into account. Experience, information, holiday schedule, insurance requirements, and then here's where they bid: 2 carts per month with weekly recycling and solid waste, and then sign it. So that's the RFP.
They'll get a map. The map will be provided.
Yep. So that is the RFP. So we can start the RFP after the ordinances have been reviewed and potentially approved and give them 30 days. And then once that could possibly be the start of January that we approve of the RFPs. And then it'll probably take about 3 to 4 months to initiate the program because the vendor may have to purchase 2,600 carts. And that takes about 60 days for those carts to be delivered to the vendor. And then we have about 30 days of sending those carts to the community. And then 30 days until, we can pick them up and start billing.
Well, the
So-
vendor was able to start immediately.
Then that's a different story, yes. So,
I mean, I'm saying if all this happens, what we need to do in January 1st, it goes.
right,
That they have carts ready to go right then, can it start in February?
theoretically, yes. But there's gonna be some overlap between the process we have now and the process we're going, just so we don't miss any.
Right, what I'm saying is,
Yes.
I'm just saying is it's not necessarily gonna take 4 months if somebody submits this and we approve it and they have carts ready to go in a warehouse.
Yeah, correct. Yes, if they can start immediately, we can put the program in immediately,
Okay.
but we need to be cognizant of that they're gonna have to purchase 2,600, give or take, carts. And
Right.
that takes 60 days. of
That's if there's
delivery.
only one that gets the.
Right, I'm just,
Right, yes, what we just need to be cognizant of lead times.
Right.
When we think about this program.
Cause I've heard one guy, he's got a bunch of carts already, and I heard the other one just got a big shipment in too.
Oh, the trash men have to have carts in?
Yep.
Anybody.
I heard the trash man just
This
got a
all will
big load
move
in.
to
Yeah,
the,
he has,
all move to this system, so.
yes, yep, we just need to be, if they're ready to start, they're ready to roll, we're ready to go. We'll be ready to go, but I just want to be cognizant of lead times,
Yep.
so.
I just wanted to clarify that if
Yes.
they were ready to go, then it could be a lot faster.
We're not going to limit it to one vendor.
No.
People can pick which.
We
vendor.
ask that they stay on the same rotation though,
Yeah,
so we don't have a garbage
Right.
out,
right.
you
So we're
might.
still gonna have, though, we gotta alert the community
Mhm.
that they can change if they want it, depending upon the vendors we get.
They'll have
They
to,
have their own written material and,
Right,
yeah, they'll have to designate which one they want.
right, right.
and the lead time probably should give a little bit of a lead time just for our system. And allow the residents to make their choice and then get our billing system moved in, so.
I just wanted-
We do
yeah.
need a date
Yeah.
that says this is when we'll be up and running, because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of.
A lot of moving parts there, but
Yeah, in the billing systems,
For the residents to,
yes,
if there's more than one vendor, how they
Yep.
choose and let us know.
gives you a chance to get the word out, give people a choice, give the software.
Yeah.
So we do probably need to set a date on that RFP and when, once it's finalized, when it can start.
so we can talk internally about that. This will be on the agenda at the next council meeting.
Okay. Anything else stick out there that needs to be addressed on that? If not, I will move on to review and discuss the 2023 street improvement project. This would be the planned project for Northeast First, Blaine, Southwest First, South Lucas. Am I missing one?
Yes, it is. Yep, that is just my.
The one that was
uh,
approved already.
Yes.
Mhm.
1 second. So the 2023 project, we talked about this. There's been some equipment malfunctions with the asphalt provider. And with the cold weather starting, unless we get some consistently warm days and they can finish up other projects, it's most likely going to push in the spring for the 2023 street projects. It's still up in the air right now, but just because of it's going to be in the mid 50s this week. Not quite sure what it's going to do next week yet. That's getting a little too cold for asphalt. Once you lay asphalt, if you lay it at about 180 degrees, it needs to cool down to 120. And then that can be driven on, and then it just cools down even further than that. But the faster you cool it down before it's set, it'll get more brittle over time. So it's one of those things where we could pour it right now, but the street isn't going to have the longevity that we want for that. So the question is, do we hold off till next spring and get it done right away? And that's not going to impede 2024 projects. Or do we put pressure on the contractor to get it done this year, this fall?
I say don't mess with it.
I'd say that if they are having problems getting it done this year, they need to put us on the first of head of the line for spring, so we get the most bang for our buck. I don't believe we should have them be in the middle of a project and then have a snowstorm hit or something
Yeah,
like that.
we need it done right, so.
Yeah, I'd rather have it done rather than start tearing things up and have it tore up all winter. Let's just make sure that we are number one on their list to start when they start their season.
How many days or weeks did they allow for this 23 project?
It's a 2-day project.
It's 2 days. So how far off are they at this point from being?
As of 2 weeks, they said if we get some 60, 70 degree weather again, they can rock it out, but it's just not looking like that right now. So I can call again tomorrow and get a better timeline, but he just wasn't confident when we were talking.
Well, I can look on 10-day.
Yes.
Looks like we will stay in the 50s until next Wednesday.
But that's highs. What's the lows?
The lows is 40s. So he's got probably the next 10 days period. Amen.
I would think you could get 2 days in the next 10 but if it's not possible, it's not possible.
Well,
Then don't do it.
I would
Isn't it-
like to see it.
equipment malfunctioning though, right now.
It did. I'm not sure if they fixed it or not, but
There's probably wrapping up other stuff. So
yeah, but it was their ready mix plant.
I'm not opposed to having it fixed this year, but if there's any question at all, if they can't get it done, I don't want them to start it.
They could get to it the next 10 days
Right.
and the weather allows, and it only takes 2 days to do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it off.
Right.
but
I'll call them and
it's
see.
not my fault.
Right, I'll call them and see what we can do still and go from there. But
yeah. So, okay. Next would be review and discuss 2024 street improvement project and timelines. So you have in your packet, process and timeline November 6th to set the public hearing. Would be the next item agenda. Then we would hold a public hearing on the 20th. January 4th would be bid letting, January 8th tentative award. And begin spring of 2024. Substantial completion would be August 15, 2024. Final October 15, 2024. So this is the Parkview Drive, which is a very, very extensive project, or could be.
Very
Unique. Unique because you've got to deal with parking. We also had add-ons there where we potentially adding alternative bids like a couple pickleball courts and basketball courts. The staging and the residential access is going to be a big problem. So we'd like to have, what did we set up? Public information day for the residents and potentially property owners around the surrounding area that may be able to provide some access.
so this project it initially started off at about a $1.2 million project as of our 2022 design and for a 2023 implementation. We looked at that and said we need to do some more due diligence to get that number more in line with our budgetary requirements for the project. This project is now estimated to be about $750,000, but we've added just one more step to it, so it's going to come in at about $850,000. That's utilities as well as road repair. So if you take a look at the screen again, this is what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be doing 2 inches of base course and 2 inches of surfacing course. So we're going to mill down 4 inches, and the base looks pretty great for this roadway. We're going to add in 4 inches of new surfacing material. There's going to be brand new curbs and gutter. Right now that the the gutters have sank. The curbs are also asphalt in some locations. It's going to be 30-inch curbs all the way around the horseshoe and on the inside. We're going to add in 4 sub drains for stormwater collection. The inside of the horseshoe does not have sub drains, and so we're going to make sure that there's some pumps can tap into that PVC line, as well as we have a drain for the roadway. That's going to be right off a back curve. There's going to be about 8 feet of tie-ins and flares. There's also going to be because we're pouring a lot of concrete for the curbs, we also want to do an add alternate, which that add alternate is a 100 by 60 multi-court area that is currently in the basketball court of Parkview Park. That'll be 2 pickleball courts and a basketball court, as well as coatings on top of that and a 6-foot fence. So it kind of looks something of this nature. If anybody wants to just pass that around, that's kind of what the look will be like. And we're also going to do some manhole adjustments, and we're going to be doing some new sanitary lines underneath the roadway. We're also going to be doing new hydrants, new valves, and looping water mains for better pressure and better fire protection. So all the process and timelines are there. You can see that. The project benefits are there. You can see that. The issues to address, staging, and we're going to have a November 16th at 6 o'clock at the Memorial Hall. We're going to have a informational meeting because they're going to want to tear up Parkview Drive all at once. And so we need to make sure that people have access to their properties. Mail and trash services are maintained. And with elderly population, we just do not want them to park on Jackson 24 hours a day and walk 3 blocks essentially to their properties. So we're going to lean on people that are very close. They have parking nearby.
So that's why I keep looking over at it.
that can offer shuttle service too. So we just want to make sure that that we take that into consideration, and then we have a constant communication with the individuals that live on here, because there are sheriff's deputies, there are elderly population that live there as well as kids. So there's a lot of construction materials. So
When did you say that informational meeting would be again?
the
November
16th
16th.
at 6 o'clock at Memorial Hall.
We're asking the people from Parkview and contiguous property owners,
There was
because
some
it would affect
discussions,
them also.
a few meetings to go about, because we knew it was gonna be costly.
Yep.
But do it in 2 parts.
Yep.
But we know it's probably gonna cost more money. But that might help with some of the traffic homeowners versus having the whole thing torn up at one side.
Right. Yeah, we are looking at that from so the biggest question, I mean, you can drive on, after you mill down asphalt, you can still drive on the sub base, especially residential cars. The biggest issue that we're going to have to overcome is going to be the scheduling of when they're going to be pouring and when people can't drive on it. And they can't drive on it for about 8 hours after a pour, give or take, depending on how fast it cools down. But the next issue is going to be the curb line. And so when we start tearing up the curbs, obviously they're going to be, the driveways are going to have to be backfilled with rock. And then if they pour it, some companies, depending on the general contractor, they have a curb machine that will just pour that whole curb at once. And then they'll come back and they'll flare the driveway approaches. Other people will pour it by hand, where then they can do that in sections. And it's going to be a lot easier to manage accessing property. But once you bring the curb machine in, I mean, they just don't want people to bounce off a curb, for at least 24 hours, because it'll be set within 24 hours of walking on and things of that nature. So right now it's a little bit from a financing standpoint, you're right. We want to pay for it in 2 different budget years. But from a construction timeline, it might make more sense to figure out what the general contractor is going to be doing. And we're trying to basically have the substantial completion date, August 15th of 2024, which means all your construction material has to be done. We'll give you 2 months to seed, place signs, and to do punch list items. So they have to be finished by October. What we don't want is to get into a Northwest First situation where the project seemed like it was prolonging forever. We want to get them in the spring and get them done by August 15th. So we may pay a little bit more for that process and that speed, but
And we need to communicate really well. If
right.
now you don't have any access, some may plan to be gone for a weekend
So-
or a couple days and
So this informational meeting, we're going to ask them what their concerns are, what their mobility is, what their parking situation is. Do they have kids that drive? Are they 2-car, 3-car households? And then we can kind of put together a staging plan. And then we'll put that plan into the plan sets that we'll talk about on the 20th of November at the council meeting at the public hearing. And then we'll be able to put that into the specs so that when contractors bid it, they have a better idea of what the staging process is going to be. So I need to talk to the people that live there before we can really finalize the plans and what that looks like from a project standpoint.
We're gonna notify the residents of this meeting on the 16th.
The letters went out today. It's on Facebook and it will be in the paper next week on the 16th.
At 6 PM
Yes,
at Memorial Hall.
Yeah, because the next issue of the paper doesn't come out until the 16th.
Right.
Um,
above the fold, please.
front page.
On page, above the fold.
We'll see what we do. Maybe we'll amplify your Facebook post. Please.
There you go.
so. With that said, that moves us to number 11, which would be review and take action on resolution 2023-83. And that would be setting a date for a public hearing. That public hearing would be November 20th at our council meeting at 6:30.
So moved.
Wally and Denny. A motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-83. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Kelly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Al? Denny?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is review and discuss 2024 to 2030 capital improvement plan process. If you remember correctly, when it was before Bryce started, we had a capital improvement plan completed along with a street improvement plan. This is going to give us the opportunity to go back through, look at that plan. What have we completed? What have we prioritized? Has our priorities changed? I'm kind of anxious to go back through and see how much can be marked off that we did do.
So there's a document in your packet. It's a 2024-2030 capital improvement plan and the street plan. So our timelines, give and take, and some procedures that we're going to take is in November. We've reached out with a form for the department heads to look at the departments and to see what they need to do the job more efficiently, more effectively, and safer to ensure that we're meeting the requirements of their department for the next 5 to 6 years. That's anything over $5,000. So that entails facilities improvements, equipment, software, vehicles, etc. In December, we have a community-wide survey that we're going to do, which will push that out to the community. It's basically what do you like, what do you don't like, what are we not doing good as well. And then we'll take their information. And then in January, we'll start having council committee meetings. And then February, we'll have our public hearings after all that documentation and all that stuff is put together. And then by the time we approve our budget, we'll have a idea of what those capital improvement plans and street improvement plans look like, so that we can move forward with implementation. So that's a high level. This is how it's going to go down process.
Okay. 13 would be 2024 to 2030 street improvement plan process and timelines. This one's a little more technical because when we had that done, we had all the streets analyze to how much deterioration. However, we should be able to, we'll just mark off what's been done.
Yep, that one, right now, Robert with our Public Works Department is working through some potential street plan ideas that to bring to the Public Works Committee of the council. That basically is just going to look at the streets that we've done, the streets that are high priorities. And he's going to try and focus around the $400,000 a year mark, which is more than what we've done in historical past. Ours is about 250,000. But he's going to focus on the $400,000 mark, which over the next 6 years, we've identified enough roadway that it's going to be about, on average, $400,000 a year, depending on inflation and the actual project. But our goal is to budget $400,000 a year, and then we're going to leave $100,000 a year for patching, for spot repairs, for concrete and asphalt, as well as just some different street improvements with ADA ramps and sidewalks and things of that nature that we need to do. So that's kind of our goal from that standpoint. But hopefully we'll have some committee meetings here moving forward regarding this, and we can go from there. So
Is that $400,000 including that $100,000 or?
it's in addition. That's the goal.
So
That's the budgeting goal.
so the real budgeting goal is 500.
Right.
So these last two items, 12 and 13, are just basically setting up that packet that we did.
Yeah, it was going back and
It
looking
gives
at,
us a long-term goal, so we're not putting out fires, we're actually
Mhm.
looking ahead at what streets are failing now, and what streets will fail in a couple of years, and we can invest our money wisely.
Right.
Rather than just running around and putting out fires like we did before our initial.
well, we had this done in.
Right, we had a comprehensive plan before this, but we're
But-
just starting a new one.
Yeah, well, this one's a capital improvement in
Right.
street.
Yep.
So that one's run out. That was 5 years.
Right.
So, yep.
That's just discussion. That's what we're going to be ramping up. So you'll be receiving emails and text messages from the mayor to get you in meetings.
Next would be resolution 2023. That would be setting a public hearing to consider flowing well improvements. Remember, we brought this up last year. We actually had a meeting at Memorial Hall. Didn't really have a lot of turnout on recommendations on what improvements we could do at Memorial Hall. So this basically is just bringing it back. If or when you wish to do improvements there, or what that would look like.
So this project is only going to focus on the underground. So right now it's an artesian well. The artesian runs 24/7. Whenever there's ground pressure, it runs in the winter. So that means we have to board up the flowing well structure and board that up with plywood all winter so it doesn't freeze. It is cracked underneath it, so water is leaking out underneath the concrete slab there. So what we want to do is we want to dig down 12 to 14 feet, encase the pipe so that we can get rid of any cracks underneath the surface. Then we want to have a shut-off valve so that we can shut it off in the winter. But because the DNR permits, we're going to have an air gap installed. And what essentially that will do, it'll let the air escape, and the air will be let off so that any type of pressure in the ground, the water won't come up, but the air will, essentially. And then the water will then drain appropriately like it does now, and it'll drain out. But it'll be a well system where people can
Similar to a
access it.
hydrant.
Yep.
Shut it off.
Yep. So we're
Lock it
gonna
down.
turn it off in the winter. It's gonna be an open concept structure. It's gonna be a pavilion with stone and things of that nature, and concrete and benches, and it's gonna look nice, but we're gonna be able to shut the water off in the winter.
Yeah,
to
we
keep it
worry
from
about
freezing.
things too.
So do you foresee, is this project Could it be done in-house or would it have to have an engineer and be bid out?
It can be done by any contractor with piping experience. So this is small enough that we can just send these plans off to any contractor that can dig and put pipe in the ground. And like Mort's or anybody local, K&K, I'm sure Sadler could do it too, or anybody in that case. We'll send these plans off to everybody locally, and then they can decide if they want to bid it, but it's all
It'd have to be a plumber.
right.
It would have to be like Mort's or like
Yeah.
an Esplins, a plumbing license.
So it doesn't have to be engineered or anything.
No, we just want to make sure that with an air gap, there is a plug that we have to purchase that has about 30 PSI of pressure. So as long as the artesian well doesn't get above that, which I don't expect it will, then that should be fine.
Well, we did have engineers look at that well though. Oh, did
Yeah, we
Mort's have looked at it.
yeah, Mort's have looked at it, and from a design standpoint, we just want to make sure that we're meeting DNR permitted levels for this, because it is an artesian well. And with artesian wells, we cannot plumb it directly into the sanitary or the storm, because it's against DNR regulations. So that's why we have to go with an air gap standpoint. Because the artesian does not have to flow, it just has to be maintained. So we just have to make sure the pressure can escape so it doesn't send water into a storm sewer or a sanitary.
We need a motion for this hearing.
Mhm.
Approve resolution 2384, setting the public hearing, November 20th, 6th plans.
Second.
Thank you, Denny and Kelly. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Denny, how do you vote?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next would be resolution 2023-85, approving the annual road use tax report. One of those fairly new requirements. They aren't so new anymore.
They're not sending them anymore, no.
We had to do this last year.
So if you look, this is the street financial report. Through basically, it looks at the state requires us anything with road use tax. We have to make sure that our road use tax is going to street improvements or into anything that deals with road maintenance and our management system. So as you can see in the street financial report, they have expenses and then they have revenues. So when our expenses, you can kind of see that we've spent what we spent out of the financial report, as well as the revenue that came in from the general fund, the road use, special operating revenues, debt service, capital projects, utilities, and what that grand total looks like. So, how much pages are missing?
So you have also the equipment. It asks us to list the equipment that we have.
Right? I didn't look at them. I know we had some modifications last time.
You're still showing the 2005. I went to the sewer plant.
Yeah.
But we ain't showing
The new one.
the new one.
I don't think these printed correctly.
They did not.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
We
missing
only
a
have the
page
odd
anyway.
numbers.
Yeah, and that's the problem is you didn't get front and back, so it's probably on there because you
Right.
don't have a front and back.
Yeah, I got it.
Basically, this is just a report saying what we spent our road use tax money on.
Correct.
Right?
So it's stuff we just have to show how we're spending the road tax we are getting from the state. We have to show them a ledger of what we're using it
Yep.
for.
That use that would be in compliance. with.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, and it's all DOT form that they have. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-85.
Mike and Al. Is there any further questions? If not, Kelly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is review and take action on resolution 2023-86, obligating funds for the urban renewal tax Revenue Fund for appropriation and payment of annual appropriation tax increment.
This is our tax rebate agreements, development agreements that we have with Gold Eagle Cooperative. They built a truck wash. And the deal was struck in 2015, and they built a maintenance shop that was amended in 2019. Those are both on 6-year agreements. So this is the last agreement for the truck wash. 2026 is the last agreement year for the maintenance shop. So Gold Eagle is paying their taxes, and we are rebating a portion of those taxes back. So the math that comes out with that is a rebate for the annual payment of $26,978.31. So 50% of that will be expended prior to December 1 of 2023, and the remaining 50% will be expended prior to June 1st, 2024. Like I said, the original agreement with the truck wash it ends June 1st, 2024. And then, so the next year that we do this, we'll only have the maintenance shop, which would reduce the $26,000 rebate down to about $14,000 for the year. So
What would that amount again? 26,900.
$78.31. These rebates are a thank you for spending millions of dollars. In a nutshell, that's what they are.
Thank you for investing in the community is basically what it is. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-86.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Denny, how do you vote?
Aye.
Al? Mike?
Aye.
Wally?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries. Police? Yes, you can be seen. Now you can, now you're like a child, seen and not heard.
Turnout. It was busy for the hour, always. And that, we had any other incidents reported by Candy. Stuff in it. Major stuff put in it, so. Other than that, also service for the, last month, October was $345 for service. So, then we had some waves there, step, so that's when we step it up. Certain traffic there. I've been stuff. Just want to give a shout out to our thanks to Robert London and the Public Works guys for hauling some dirt to our shooting range where we're going to be having around. So they started today and they pretty much almost done. So if we can, like everybody else, continue having the nice weather, we'll be always will be getting qualified for handguns. Hopefully, rifles and shotguns. The only thing that we have to ask for another department to assist us with a firearm instructor for that. So handgun is one, and then the shotgun and the rifles is totally different qualifications. So other than that, that's all I got for you, unless you guys have any questions.
I don't think we've had a meeting since we did the drill. Full scale exercise in
No.
Goldfield. Yeah, that was a good turnout with the county. The hospital needed to drill or exercise on their pediatric surge. Disaster in the scenario was an explosion. So Eagle Grove Police, Eagle Grove Fire, EGEMS, Clarion Fire, EMS, and obviously emergency management, public health, Wright County Sheriff's. Belmont came over and went through a scenario all morning. It was really chilly that day. Had a lot of great volunteer kids and exercised how how that would happen, and our goal was to push the hospital for how they did their surging, and then also push our EMS on how they did triage, and city on all the support, police on the support, so it went really well. But I don't think we've had a meeting since you guys helped with that.
Since Bobby's here, Bob just reminded of your attendance on Lucas. Just think for the
Winter,
winter's here, so. Robert always remind me of the real good. That's another.
Oh, my job too.
Thanks.
Thanks, Fred. Keep up good work. Be safe.
Yep, thanks.
thank you, Ray. Public Works,
Public Works is they're sending out some millings to build up some alleyways before winter, install a bigger crown on them. So that milling pile that's right outside here, they're trying to get rid of a little bit so they have a place to put snow. Otherwise, on Thursday, we are pouring a 24 by 9 patch on Northwest 8th by the loadout facility for AGP. And that's going to be about a foot deep. And so that's kind of sinking there. So we're seeing that there's some stormwater issues. So they're going to be ripping that out, pouring it on Thursday. Otherwise,
water.
Yep, our water, thank you. Our water softening equipment malfunctioned late last night. A bearing, yesterday, a bearing went out and seized on the Slaker. The Slaker is a 20-year-old piece of machine that is mechanically driven, so we just need to replace the bearings, which should happen on November 8th. If not tomorrow afternoon, it should be installed, but we're anticipating that we'll have full operation on Wednesday. By the time it hits the distribution system and gets to the household, it might be Wednesday evening. What they can see from a softening issue is the water is going to be just a little bit more, have a little bit more hardness to it. There may be a little bit discoloration, maybe a little bit cloudy. It's just going to be different than what they're used to. I mean, Eagle Grove water is the best in the county by hands down. It's still going to be the best. It's just going to be a little bit different. But the water still meets all treatment. It still meets all
Safety.
DNR requirements and safety. It's drinkable. You can take a shower in it. You can wash your clothes with it. But the water, it's aerated, it's filtered, it's chlorinated. It meets all treatment standards. It's just not softened, essentially. Sorry.
If people add more salt to their personal softeners at home, are they gonna?
Nobody has softeners.
Yeah, very few people have softeners at home, but we do not recommend that.
City softens
Yep.
all of our water, so.
Yep. So there's enough lime in the system that it shouldn't be too much of an issue. There's also lime in the pipes that encases the pipe. So when the water goes through, it encases that pipe, which creates a sealant of it. So when the water passes, it obviously gets softened from that standpoint as well. So it's
Drinking it right now.
yeah, exactly. It's still, I wouldn't recommend it. But also if we want to be aware that some companies have to have a certain softness coming in so that their machines and their equipment pieces do not malfunction because of it. But the very little water that we're talking about and the very short time we're talking about, which shouldn't be an issue. I wouldn't go out and spend $8 on some salt to put into the system if you don't have a water softener.
I don't think anybody does.
I don't believe so.
No, because I was told one time by a company that putting water softeners in Eagle Grove was a waste of time because they had more problems with the softeners because our water was too good.
That's because we soften it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
But
it?
yeah, no, so we should be operational here early this week, but just FYI there.
Oh, I forgot to say, Ray's a grandpa.
Oh, we can all tell he looks like it.
Ray became a grandpa. Yeah. City administrator, anything there?
Let's see, we're getting towards, we're gonna start our budgeting conversation. So that's a lot of what we're doing with the capital improvement process is we're also focused on our next fiscal year budget. So we're having department head conversations next week. to start building out the budget and capital improvement side of things for next year. We're focused on getting our TIF certification and our TIF indebtedness reports done for the state by December 1. And then all of our urban renewal plans and our TIF related items completed by and served to the auditor's office by December 1. That also includes finalizing any boundary disputes and any boundary issues that we have for our city limits to make sure that those are all up to snuff, which we shouldn't have any changes. So those should be pretty easy reports to do. But otherwise, we're just lugging along. Arcelia is not here. She's on vacation right now. So we're also working through a little bit understaffed at City Hall.
Watch the paper because I think the county plans on publishing again the supervisor maps. 2024, instead of 3 supervisors going to 5, so that had to be redistricted. So Eagle Grove will be kind of in part in a different district area. Yeah. So there was a little bit of minor adjustment because I think there was 3 districts in Clarion, so they have to balance out how many is in each district, so they had to move. Didn't have to, but they moved 9, I think. That may be lopsided a little bit, but that puts them down only 2 districts, and Eagle Grove's the same way. So
It will definitely be.
is it okay? Yeah. So
It's laid out.
they approved that. So just so you guys are aware, that they'll get that posted. And as far as there hasn't been any other department meetings that I've been to. That's it.
I got daycare update.
Oh, how about a daycare update, Al? Yeah, that's a big project going.
Yeah, we do got a big project going on down there. We're working on painting the room, putting new ceiling tile in right now. They did the roof a couple weeks ago. They're looking at the air handlers for the HVAC system now. We're gonna get the new air conditioners here for them. But they are working right along right now. New flooring's coming in. Yeah, moving right along. We're full of kids. Got a good bunch of kids in there now. Good staff.
And this is,
We
these
need
are,
board members. I would shout, we need some board members if anybody there.
these are dollars that, the county is offering with COVID
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
So probably on this month, we'll see, an agreement. So there could be a pass through on paying the bills
Right.
through the city, same thing, grant thing, not our, but pass through, so we pay in. They wouldn't have the revenue to pay them outright and wait for money back.
No,
So
it's gonna be a nice facility we get it done. When we new look to it and well do.
any landfill updates?
Well, the only thing is, we've done all of our shows to meet the DNR requirements for the trailer and equipment we got free. So we're gonna change next year for the towns, like Eagle Grove has done a show every year. They've been finding the amount of hazardous waste they get gets lower and lower. So we're gonna recommend that, like, Eagle Grove won't do a show next year, but the year after. We ain't decided or sat down yet to figure out if they're gonna charge a small fee for it or what yet.
Anything with Parks and Recs?
We need them on our Wednesday night, I believe.
Okay.
They're working on the sign down at the hotel.
The marquee sign.
Yep. The electrical is being installed and that's going to be put right into the hotel. So the hotel is going to be footing the bill for the electric. The sign is ready to be installed as soon as the electricity is hooked up. And it's passed the DOT permits, and they're still working on the community organization that's going to be in charge of the calendar, or what's going to be provided on there. So once that gets figured out, we'll know who's the point of contact for that project, but it should be done by the end of November. That's the goal for that. But it'll look quite nice. It'll be quite big.
motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Get out and vote. That's right.
Thanks, everybody, to our Discord.
Thanks, Brett. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, bye.
Hello.
Should we get?